Government Degree College, Wootnoor, Adilabad. G. Vijay, Contract Faculty, Lecturer in Computer Science and Application. Last class discussions about if else statements. So this is the conditions, then take decision making statements. The if else statements, the block of code should be taken in conditions statements and take the value of given result. Value of given result. There are decision statements to execute the particular set of codes based on condition. The if statement along use the if conditions is true, it will executed a black. It will be executed a black statements. And if the conditions is false, in take statement and go next statements and give the decision making statements to. Else, if the conditions is false, the C or C++ else statements can be used, the else statement with if statements to executed block of code when the conditions is false. When the conditions is false, and conditions that then conditions they will be take A equal to 10 and B equal to 20, and conditions then take variables. Conditions value is if A greater than B. This is called as a conditions, it's a false. And else statement, go for next statement else. Next statement else. If B greater than A, it's a true statements, and absolute value can give value of B is a 20 and give the result in biggest of values, it's a B value, and A value is small value and B value is a big value. Comparisons of both values, comparison of both value, then take variable value in this statements of black 1, statements of black 2. This comparison of given values of take biggest absolutely values. So if a statement we can visually the programs if a statement a decision process using a flowcharts diagram. So this is a executing. Take example, this is a variable, this is a value entire data entry and comparison. This statement, both value comparison of statement A greater than B. This is condition operator. Condition operators a given value of A greater than A value 10, B value 20. These both value comparisons of given value. This is called as a false value. And the next statement, it's a else statement. And the statements else and go for the if statement B greater than A. It's a value of given true. This is the example of programs in given flowcharts of all diagrams, and conditions they will be take variable value and take variable value A value 20, B value A value 10, B value 20, and comparisons of both values, can statements, it's a F if statements and comparison A or B and is a false value and take next statements else. Next else statements, it's a false value taken else statements. If A greater than B, it's a true value, and give the absolutely value, it's a B. Absolutely value, it's a B, and results of given absolutely value, it's a B, then give the result in 20. This is the example of flowcharts and example this program. This is the flowcharts of diagrams. And if statements, if the logically expanses is true, the logically expanses is true, the logically expanses is true, we take the path through the diagrams executing the block of code. Executing the block of code. This is the logically taken expanses, and give the this value is true, and take default automatically is a true value, and give the result absolute value. So is the result the biggest of values, it's a result. The logical expanses is a true. The logical expanses is a true. We take one path through the diagrams executed the code of black code is a taken value. If the logical expanses is false, we take a different path through the diagrams, skipping or the block of code. Block of code. Logical expanses and give the block of code is a true, and take values of given result, it's a biggest values, in give the else logical expanses of false is a taken conditions. These conditions will be take values of given, it's a true value. This is the statements of given, it's a true value, and conditions go for stop. It's a false value, and conditions go for give the statements if and value of given false, and go for else statement, and take for statements it's if. Then this is the statements of given values. The if statement, can be followed by a optional else statement. If statement can be follows option else statement, which executed when the Boolean expanses is false. Boolean expanses is false. Boolean expanses is false or true. Then a statement, it's a if else statements in C++. If the Boolean expanses evaluations to true, then the if black is code will be executed, otherwise else black of is code will be executed. Then these diagrams also is given example. Statements it's a false, and go for next statements, and give the take conditions. This is the condition operator, and go for statements if code, if, and the next statement take if else statements, and give the result it's a true. So conditions is a false and go for the condition, it's a false and go for the next statement, it's a give the conditions and it's a true, and conditions is a false and statements and give the next statement, it's a false, and executed of this absolute value is a if the boolean's expenses valuation to true, then the if block of code will be executed, otherwise else block of code will be executed. In given the example of flowcharts and give the example in flowcharts of give the example, this is the conditions of flowcharts, and conditions then flowcharts give and take example of this program conditions, example of these programs, int a variable b, a comma b, it's a variables of values can take a comma a value 10, b value 20. This programs is given example, this is the if c in a b, value of given input in take in, and if statement a greater than b, value of a greater than b, take value of a greater than b, it's a false and go for the next statement, else, next statements else if b greater than a, it's a true value, absolutely value can give the example of these programs, if statements and example of these programs, conditions, decision making statements and take values given absolutely value, and booleans expenses are true, if black is code will be executed, otherwise and else black if is code will be executed, and give the flowcharts and example, it's a example of this programs, and next statements also given example of these programs, this is the also given of programs. Programs will be executed and take decision a less than or b less than or a, this is the comparison of both values, The if statement can be followed by the optional else, if else statement, which is every useful to statement various conditions is true. Conditions they will be take multivariable values and take if statement and else statements and use of various conditions of statements in if or else and if statements. The if else statements the follows in conditions, decision making condition, or value of given, variable value of given or one, and next conditions else it must come the else if statement. The if statements accessed the running else if, else will be testing or tested, give the executed of programs, then the executed of these programs. This the above codes, this is the above codes, this is the above program, this code is compiled, is compiler and executed and procedure the following result. result means a greater than 10, a equal to 10, b is equal to 20. This is value of given variable value is a 20. 20 it's a given follow of result executed the programs in give result in biggest value of a. This is the follow of above code in executed above programs in executed the procedure of given results is a b. Is a b absolutely values. The statements of given a block of code that always executed if is true and open brace, then code will be always executed it's true and take values of absolute values. This is a value of its given value, it's a true and executed this conditions black of code then always executed if is a true values. And next the conditions of given values, the C++ of this if else statement is logical expanses of these programs used for in conditions. And take example, block of code is executed if expanses is true and go for the else statements. And the next for a block of statement is go for block of executed statement is false and go for the next statements. If line and the else line and open brace or closing brace the vertically along with each other, do not put the semicolon after the if lines and the else lines or will be get every statement running runtimes error. And else statement semicolons line if lines it's a semicolons or else lines it's a semicolon will get every programs a runtime error. Either the block of code is only one along with the bracket can be give the statements and it can be take values in block of code only one line. So this is the if else statement. We can visually the programs if else statement a decision process using a flowcharts of diagrams. These flowcharts example give the example. This is the flowcharts. It's a take example values. A decision it's a symbols and take a decision symbol. This is called a logically give the decision symbols and left side and right sides then take example conditions is true and block of code and executed it's true and give the results it's a absolute values. And second conditions it's a false then will be take and go for the next statement. Block of code executed if is a false and take condition is a false and give the results it's a true. It's a absolute value can take this is give the flowcharts. We can visually the programs if else statements a a decision processing using flowcharts in these diagrams. Flowcharts in these programs. And next statement if else statements the if a logical expanses is true will take one path through the diagrams executed on a block of code, and same we have to take example and decision logically programs and or true value and go for the result, and next statement is a false value and go for the conditions, take conditions variable value, it's a if statements and give the true value. This is the value of given, it's a true value, and take the example of programs, the example of these programs. So this is the if else statement, and take multiple value, comparisons of multiple value, comparisons of multiple value, and taken these programs. Then the above code is a compiling, executing the process of following a result. This is the example of programs. So this next given comparisons of A value, comparisons of B value, can take comparisons A value, comparisons of B value, can take C equal A divided by B, and A equal A minus B. Else the block of C equal multiplication B, A equal plus C. This is called a comparison of values of addition operators, valuation operator, addition, subtractions, multiplications are divided by, and give the A greater than 0 and B greater than 0, and else statement they will be take in given the value of result in absolutely value, take results in this if else statements. If else statements, yeah. If A greater than B and B greater than A, is take values both else statements. Else statements. This is the example of this program's else statements. If else statement in C++ is also used to control the program flowchart based on a condition. Only the difference if used to executed some statement conditions black if the expenses of value of to true, otherwise executed else statements is code of black. Thank you. Else statements and if statements. Thank you.